What is up, everybody? Welcome to episode 2 of the live You Own the Experience podcast. I am your co-host, Rob Mann. With me, I have the van living Lauren Jones. How are you, Lauren Jones?
I am super fantastic, Rob. How are you?
I am good. Your audio is a little light, girl, but that's okay. Oh, and I have the live feed going on in the background with me. That's okay. Lauren, where are you today?
I am at Sonoma Raceway. So as you know, I build tech stacks. My husband builds race cars. And so we are at Sonoma Raceway today. We are BMWs and Porsches this weekend. So both classes.
You're still a little faint there, girl, but that's okay.
Oh, no. Okay.
Try it.
Okay, I've got my good mic on.
Okay. We got some feedback that it sounds okay on the stream, so that's good. All right.
Okay, fantastic.
Might just be me. Well, as long as everyone can hear you. Well, welcome. And Lauren is at Sonoma. If you couldn't hear her, she's not drinking. She is racing cars, Porsches and BMWs. I have an introduction to make for you, Lauren, by the way. I found another Porsche builder and racer in Fresno. Not in Fresno, in I think he's in Thousand Oaks, so Southern California boy.
Okay. But, love it. He's probably if he's in NASA, he's probably heard of Legacy.
Oh, he knew you were. He was like, "Oh yeah, I know those guys." So don't worry.
Yeah. Okay, good.
He's like, "Yeah, they build cars." I'm like, "Yep, and they race them too."
Yeah.
And Lauren tries to get me to put people in seatbelts by their crotch, and I don't want to do it. All right. So, Lauren, what is new on this phone? I don't know what happened there. Hold on. I killed the what's new thing. But what's new this week, besides for the elephant in the room that CrowdStrike pushed out a faulty update and has basically crippled part of the global economy?
I know, right? Well, a lot of that this morning. So we've had some technical difficulties, but I actually took a vacation. And so I just came back yesterday. And so we had some big milestones to celebrate. My 25th wedding anniversary, my 50th birthday was on Friday. And so it was a big celebration. We did family photos on the beach. We did I was like, I want to do the typical American family, white t-shirts and denim on the beach. And so we'd never done that before. So we did the all-American white t-shirts and denim on the beach. And I've got the proofs back and they've turned out lovely. So that's what I wanted for my birthday. So we did that.
Fam or
the whole family. Yeah, Allie's here. We were.
Allie's boyfriend make the photo or no?
No, so that's what I was just gonna say. We were Sans, her significant other, but we had my eldest daughter and her husband, and then my youngest daughter, and then my husband and I, and we got a beach house up in Dillon, and it was 30 degrees cooler. We went on 5-mile walks every day. It was lovely.
30 degrees cooler sounds nice for Florida right now, but that's not my reality. I'm still in second week back of working with a newborn and having my wife on maternity leave, which has been nice. We actually went out and got breakfast this morning. We took the dog to the groomer. The baby came. She lived her best life out at the bagel spot that we went to. So, Mac Man's getting some bagels. We're super excited for the show. Obviously, we're going to go through the normal, what's new, lots of industry news, lots of technology, AI and automation, lots of things going on for you. We have a very special guest, one of our dear friends, Kelli Schutrop, coming on later. And Kelli actually she's on maternity leave as well, but she's gracing us with an hour or so over time, or 30 minutes or so over time. So thank you to Kelli in advance. And Kelli's daughter, I think I sent you the photo of her daughter, right? But we gotta get a comparison going because Juliet and Mackenzie look way, 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 way too similar. So it was pretty cute when Kelli and I caught up for this last week. She showed me a photo of Juliet, and I was like, that looks like Mackenzie. So anyway, super excited. So let's get into the what's new besides for the CrowdStrike outage, which is got some of our friends stuck in Barcelona or somewhere. Where's Henna? I think she was in Barcelona or something.
Yeah, she's stuck.
We have our friends not being able to log into, support people not being able to log in. People can't log into Jira. All kinds of things going on in the world. So if you're suffering, hopefully we're entertaining you. If you can catch this, If we're not entertaining enough, just let us know. With Don't Throw Tomatoes, we don't need that. But do you have any? I have a couple of what's new things for us. If you want, unless you have something you want to kick off with.
So so AI once again is making the news. So we've got.
You want to save that to the AI portion, Lauren?
We can save that for the AI portion. Absolutely.
All right. Anything else besides AI related stuff?
Nope. Not making my news page. Everything.
We have an entire AI and automation news section on the show, and you're trying to bring it forward. Anyway. All right. I appreciate you. All right. So Patrick Reynolds, I was catching up with Patrick Reynolds, who's one of the sales leaders over at Bullhorn, and we caught some interesting stats from a Grant Thornton CFO survey. So about 58% of CFOs in the U.S. have a lot of optimism in the economy. 63% are confident that their organizations will meet increased demand. They expect to see 75 expect to see a net profit grow over the next 12 months. 94 are using or exploring potential uses for AI, so that's pretty cool. There you go, Laura. We rolled it forward for you. And then 64 note IT and digital transformation is their top area for expense increases coming up, which is good for us because that's what we do. We digital transform people and we help them with their IT stuff. So bring us some of that 64%. Anyway. Any thoughts on the CFO survey?
I mean, I think it just backs up what we're seeing. Almost all of the projects that we've had this year have been optimization, and now as we enter in Q3 and Q4, I'm starting to see some digital transformation where people are really thinking about what that roadmap looks like. If we're once again bubbling up the integration. I've said for the last 10 years. If there's no transformation without integration. And here we are again having these conversations about integration. So I 100% agree with the survey. And I think that's what all of the projects and the activity that we've had thus far are indicating.
No, I love it. All right. The other thing that's exciting is that SIA's 40 Under 40 came out. If you haven't seen it, it's accessible via that QR code that I just threw up for you. And some of our faves actually ended up on there.
Celeste Randall, love my girl Celeste.
Yep. Our girl Cheyenne from Loyal Source, who I've known from back when she was working at Benchmark. So super, super cool. But now she's been with Loyal Source and our buddy Adam DeMarco for a while. One of my old customers when I was doing freelance automation consulting, Justin Satterfield, the CEO and founder of Norwood Staffing, which is a booming they do like the reconciliation. They staff coding people in hospitals, among other things. So they're really involved in the medical billing world, making sure people get paid and things get coded correctly. And then I don't know if anyone's ever met. Well, I think everyone's met Adam Chambers, but Adam he's got to be in his late 20s. I got to find out, but he is a CEO and founder of a healthcare staffing company. Makes some really interesting content. Really sweet guy. I love running into him at the Healthcare Staffing Summit every year. But it was really cool to see him make the list. So I want to give him a shout out as well.
Awesome. I will say this, as I was reviewing the 100 largest U.S. staffing firms, SIA, came out with 40 Under 40, and now we've got the largest list. But Barton Associates breaks the top 100. They've risen 21 spots, which is alarming. So if you want to know who's doing it right, talk to Barton because they're doing something right, coming up 21 spots.
So one of my old friends, they hired this incredible HR leader from LRS. God, what the hell's her name? She's incredible. So not surprising that they're trying to do it right. But shout out to Barton if you made that big of a rise. But yeah, I'll remember her name and then I'll say something because I actually meant to reach out to her when I saw them on there.
It's pretty cool.
Congratulations. My brain is now fried.
It's daddy brain.
Yeah, got daddy brain. Anyway, all right, moving on back to SIA and Bullhorn's The Indicator. If you guys haven't seen this yet, click the QR code. It'll take you over to the indicator page on the SIA the SIA landing page for it. Traditionally, we've been down about 12% year over year in all staffing or all in verticals. This week, and I think the week of July 4th, or starting the week of July 4th, we're only down about 9%. So we've come up 2 on the year over year, which I think if you compare it to what we were talking about from the CFO survey, slight optimism, right? And then there's some proof in the pudding as we rise 2 points from being down a consistent 12% for about the last 18 months, if I remember correctly. So we've been down 12% on professional staffing, more light industrial commercial, and we're starting to see it come back up, bit by bit. So it's a good sign for everybody that we love in the industry.
Yep.
Doesn't mean everything's great yet, but it's definitely.
It doesn't. It's still.
At least it's not going down.
Yeah, it's still the survive to 25. I think that everybody is still feeling that. However, if 2024 is anything like 2023, we saw things even out in the last 2 quarters of the year. So, I as I said last year, we ended Q2 30% below year over year. We ended the year 30% over. So, and much of that came in Q3 and Q4 was where the real push was. So, it's just another year. It feels like a whiplash. So it's, my advice to executives out there is stay the course. You've got to stay focused and stay consistent. No grasping at straws and no panicking.
All right, cool. All right, so good stuff there. Moving right along here. What do we got? Ooh, we got featured technology.
Yes.
You excited for what I decided to feature today?
Yes, of course.
Did you see what it was?
Of course I did. Of course I did. I'm so excited because I love this guy. Rod is one of my favorite people. And he's got a nice thick accent and he talks really fast. So when he does the demo, stay focused. But I'm
all right.
I love him. He's such an endearing person. But let's talk a little bit about Glide. It's one of my favorite products.
Hold on. So we're talking about Roderick Smith, the CEO and co-founder of Glide Talent. Rod is a multiple time founder. So
four time successful exiter.
Yeah. So Shift Fillers, he was the founder of. Then he also founded Temp Buddy, and then 2 more before that, right?
I think so.
Oh, God, what were they? He's had 4 exits. He's an incredible guy. It's also. We should. Wow, Lauren, we should show the video of him knee sliding across the dance floor.
He's an incredibly creative dancer.
Yeah, I think the personality, if we had to say, creative and very efficient, didn't waste any moves, and no, we're a big fan of Rod. But what Glide does, more importantly, if you want to go into that, Lauren.
Yeah. So, Glide essentially is the top of the funnel. So where we're seeing a lot of AI being leveraged and being applied is at the top of the funnel where we have a ton of inefficiency. So think of job distribution. So Glide will do programmatic job distribution, so much like a PandaLogic or a Broadbean, right? Where we're doing programmatic job distribution. Programmatic allows you to have more control on your spend, both outgoing and then more control over the incoming traffic. So Glide will take care of that programmatic job distribution. Then once those candidates are coming in, you can engage with a bot to do all of the pre-screening and then navigating those candidates to the right incoming person, and or you could automate the entire top of the funnel. So I think Glide makes me really excited because you imagine a world where you don't have to invest in offshore or nearshore sourcing or recruiting. You can actually apply AI in a really, really beautiful white glove type of way where they're still connecting human to human. We're just doing it faster, more efficiently, and we're doing it with pre-screened candidates. So once again, think of completely eliminating offshore or nearshore and automating it and applying AI. So they've got a great partnership with Staffing Engine where we could hand that conversation off and put them right in Teams. They've got a beautiful integration with Bullhorn. So it's a very easily applied technology and can help you reduce costs. So if you're an agency with offshore and nearshore, and that's where margins are being deteriorated, think about applying AI or automation there with something like Glide.
Yeah, seen a lot of good results, and Rod has some incredible statistics and data around the meaningful information that candidates will share with the bot.
The statistic that stuck in my mind, I wrote it down and I use it every time now, is Gen Z will talk with a bot 16 minutes longer than they will a human being. That, when he gave me that stat, I was like, this explains everything.
I had an issue. I almost spit up my water there.
It doesn't surprise me. Remember, Gen Z is an entirely digital generation. They're used to immediacy. They're used to everything right at their fingertips. And so the idea that they would engage with a bot, an inanimate object, 16 minutes longer than they would a human being, I think A, fascinates me. B, it explains a lot. But C, I think it's very natural for them. And we are entering in a retail space where I'm more comfortable talking with a bot because I know I won't get frustrated. And so, I find it, again, the data he has is fascinating. And so for those of you agencies who think, oh, I have a completely white glove experience and I'm not, this isn't for us at the top of the funnel. We want live people. This can be done well. It can be done elegantly, and can be applied to enhance the experience, not increase friction in the process.
Yep. No, I love it. And yeah, I'm just concerned that they would talk to the bot 16 minutes longer than they would a human. But
it's fascinating to me.
Maybe they don't like humans. We're not all the best.
Yeah,
anyway,
it's fascinating. I love that.
Would you talk to me 16 minutes longer than a bot? That's really the question right now.
I'm a Gen Zer. Of course I would. I'm the pick up the phone person.
I'm
Gen X. I'm a Gen Xer. I like a good old fashioned email, or I'll pick up the phone. But interestingly enough, Gen Z is more likely to pick up the phone than millennials are.
They're when I'm ready.
Yeah, they're a really nice combination. Gen Z has already figured out that you need multiple streams of income in order to make ends meet. Gen Z is more likely to be out about their side hustle, whereas millennials will hide it. The generations are fascinating. We have an interesting question here from Curtis Church. What in your opinion are the best topics for the bot to handle? That's a great question, Curtis. And I think here's who's going to win the battle at the top of the funnel. The agency that gives the choice, right? And so the conversations that are best had are those that are, how do you want to continue this conversation? Would you like to continue this conversation with me, the bot? Would you like me to immediately connect you to a recruiter, which could be a millennial and or Gen Xer who's having that? So the top of the funnel conversations are navigating the experience for the applier or potential candidate or customer, depending upon who's coming in the funnel. And you want to do it in bite-sized pieces. So continuing to ask the question, do you want to let's continue this discussion here, or can I connect you with a person, or would you like to send us an email? Giving them that choice are the really great conversations, but pre-screening questions to navigate them throughout the process are really great top of the funnel things for a bot to handle. You want a human handling anything where we're making any sort of determination, right? Or you want some interaction, or you want most frequently asked questions are also a really, really great place for a bot to engage. So if you have an ongoing bot that's sort of in the where we're in candidate management, they've already gone through the funnel, they've done all of those things. Having a bot there to answer most frequently asked questions is another great application. So top of the funnel pre-screening questions, your sort of help desk support are really great places to start. I hope that answers your question. But allowing the applicant, choice as to how they want to navigate forward, that is the number one thing where agencies will win if they're providing choice.
I think the biggest thing too is that you have to understand your audience. So your recruiters may not be working at 7 p.m., but your bot can go through the pre-screening questions and engage them. And then once someone's back online, then we can pick it up. So it does give you that more 24/7 experience.
Correct.
And if you're doing travel nursing or locum tenant staffing, you're gonna get people who come off shift at random times.
Correct. If you're doing call center, any type of high volume call center, like if they're working, a swing shift or anything like that. Well, good. I'm glad you're right on track.
Yeah, glad you're on the right track.
But call center is all about timing. So, allowing a bot to have those midnight conversations. Somebody's just coming off. They had remember, hiring is about timing, just as sales is. And so being able to give them the opportunity to have a conversation, even if it's with a bot in off hours, is a great way to provide choice.
Yep. All right. LJ, I appreciate that. So with that said, Curtis, thank you so much, man. Glad you're on the right track as well. Let's get into your favorite topic there, Miss Jones.
I know. So we've got some cool news here. So, and I jumped the gun, but SIA is chock full of AI news. We've got some of the largest employers in Charlotte, North Carolina, applying AI in meaningful ways. We've got Anthropic and the Claude model that just launched a $100 million venture for AI apps. I was doing some research on exploding topics. There continues to be a 100% increase in searching on AI related topics. So we're still in this, when you look at exploding topics and you look at data there and what people are searching. Exploding Topics is a research tool that we leverage to see what people are searching on and what topics are exploding, what startups are hitting. And AI continues to be what they categorize as an exploding topic, meaning it is over the course of the last 24 months, it continues to be at the top of the search cadence there.
Yeah.
Which is really interesting.
I know Claude's your favorite, so I was nerding out over 3.5 Sonnet. And one of the things about 3.5 Sonnet, so if you guys go to that QR code, it takes you to like 10 really interesting things that you can now so Claude Artifacts is basically you ask it to write code, like you wanted to play Snake, right? And in the artifact side of it, it'll write the code in the AI writer, and then you can go see what you created over in the artifact display. So super fascinating. And then also so Claude is kind of jumping quickly to my top of my list. I've been using it more and more, Lauren. I think you'll be excited about that.
I love it.
Google, the Gemini platform has some video editing and video creation tool. I didn't get to nerd out as much as I wanted to in it before this, but I'm going to go nerd out. So if you go type in Google Video AI, you'll probably get some updates on what Google and the Gemini LLM are doing. But then the global AI market is supposed to be valued at around is currently valued at 196 billion. They project that to 13x over the next 7 years. And then the US AI market is forecasted to reach 299 billion by 2026. So it is an exploding topic because it's an exploding revenue place. And
I mean, and there are other predictions that say by 2030 it'll be at 826 billion. I mean, the numbers are kind of all over the place, but I think globally we are seeing that this is going to become table stakes. And love Curtis. So Claude's my favorite as well because I think it's best with creative writing. I think Claude sounds the most human. Oddly enough, I think Claude is a woman because I've assigned a gender to all of them.
Well, isn't that sexist of you?
I know. It is totally. I don't know why I think Claude's a woman.
Because it's actually good at its job. Is that what
it's actually?
I know how you think.
Yeah,
woman.
Precisely. But Perplexity, I was playing around with, I love Midjourney and DALL-E and all of those for image making, but Perplexity was actually fascinatingly good at creating images.
Nice.
So there's some really, really cool functions with the likes of Claude, Perplexity, Gemini, and ChatGPT. And if you're not exploring, GPT land in ChatGPT, you are missing out. I mean, there's a coloring book GPT that will make coloring book pages for your kids.
Ooh, that's cool.
Yeah. So it's it's the world is your oyster there. And I agree, Curtis. I think Claude writes in a really relatable way. I think that it sounds very human. And little tip for you, Curtis, if you can give it some of your own writing samples, Claude is the best at regurgitating or mimicking your writing style. So I've given it enough of my content that over time I can put my thought in there and give it a prompt and say, and write like I do, like my previous writing samples. And Claude is the best at sort of mimicking your behavior and even your punctuation. So I'm a Gen Xer. I love the ... Gen Z, don't come for me. But Gen Zs hate our Gen Xer ... It's a whole TikTok thing. But it even goes as so far as to leverage the punctuation. Yeah, and I think it's fascinating.
I like it. All right. Well, that is automation and AI. Oh, maybe a couple of things. One, I also think automation is table stakes for your business.
Yep.
Chris Stews and I held our first automation office hours yesterday. Had about 9 people show up.
That's really awesome.
Fascinating conversations around like take kind of table stakes data quality or data quality of life things to start. I think what people miss is, and this is me being a homer about bullhorn automation. I could apply to Sense too, just to kind of be fair, right? Is we've been complaining to people for the last 2 years now, Lauren, that data quality matters, right? Since I was at Kylo with data tools. Now they think it matters, and then they think the only way to fix it is to like hire a data engineer or like go do some like scripting.
No.
When in reality, bullhorn automation has like phase 1 of data cleanup, right? It can tell you how many dupes you have. It can't dedupe them. That's fine. You can do some really meaningful reporting about the quality of your data. Are these fields null, like blank, if they should be filled out? What fields are populated? What's actually in the fields? It can tell you all of this stuff. So if you're like on the fence about automation and AI because you have an issue with your data, bullhorn automation is actually the most comprehensive tool to start the journey of fixing your data. Because once you start to get it into a better place, you can start to automate and ask your candidates to self-update stuff for you, plus all the marketing and sales enablement stuff. So it's not sales enablement. It's not just marketing. It's not telling you like website updates. It's also data engineering, kind of like 1.0. So if you have any questions, I would love to talk to you about it because we've been seeing some hesitation in the market of going with automation because of your data quality. But I think that's the first step to it. So just so you guys know, I don't know if people tell you that or can explain that to you in a meaningful way, but I can. Anyway, all right. With all of that said and done, we get to our guest, who I am super, super duper, 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 duper excited about. I could add more dupers if you want, but let's welcome.
Yep. Let's welcome Kelli,
our longtime friend, Kelli Schutrop.
Hi, Kelli.
Oh, there we go. I'm off mute.
There we go.
I thought you gotta do the double wave. You guys have brought me onto the virtual stage. Good to see you guys. Good to see
you.
I don't know the last time we had you on. Maybe like 2 years ago was the last time we had you on the pod.
I know. I feel like it's been a while. And I'm like you mentioned, Rob, I'm on maternity leave. So I'm loving this cameo of being able to like pop out. She's upstairs sleeping. My husband is running point, all the fun things. But it's been fun to stay in tandem with what's going on in the industry, because as nerdy as this is, LinkedIn is my social channel of choice. So I just end up on LinkedIn all the time. So I feel like I've stayed up to speed on what's going on.
Yeah, it does help you stay connected. I agree, Kelli. It's my social channel of choice. You know, even though I know I'm supposed to be better on some of the other social channels, it's just typically where my people are and where I engage and get the best engagement. So
there's less
so good to see you.
Less negativity and less wastefulness of whatever's going on in there. Anyway, all right. Well, Kelli is the founder of Thoughtful Resound. We'll give you the full insight into what that does in a second here. But first, let's get to know Kelli if you haven't met her before. So, Miss Schutrop, the first question, which I'm actually oh my God, there's Wilhelm. Look at Wilhelm in the window.
Also, Rob did not prepare me for what these questions would be, in case you're
no. Yeah,
No,
no,
we never
we don't
do.
prepare anybody.
By the way, if you want to connect with Kelli, that's her LinkedIn profile. It's over my photo or my video feed now. So go grab that QR code. Okay. Question number 1, Lauren, go ahead.
Okay. What is your favorite book or podcast that you are just
Or follow
that you are just loving and eating up right now?
Oh my goodness. Oh gosh, this is a good one to put me on the spot because I'm not a good book reader or a good podcaster. I get a lot of my information from people that I follow on LinkedIn. And I've probably shared this with you too before, but my husband is very not active on LinkedIn. So I use my message thread with him as the place where I save information. So if I see a post that I really like, I send it to him because I know he's never going to check it. There is an individual named MJ, and I'm, of course, her last name is escaping me right now, but she is a chief marketing officer for a company. And she really dives into all of the different nuances of what she's doing. Like she does a very good job of breaking it down. And I'm going to pull her up right now.
Yeah, drop the link in the chat.
Yeah. Yes. And I'm trying to, oh my goodness, there's just so many people that come to mind. Sam McKenna is someone that I have a really fun time
Sales.
Yeah. Oh, Sam Sales. We love her.
Yep. And Amy Volas is another one that I really enjoy following.
Another good sales leader.
Yeah. I mean, ultimately, the people that I enjoy following tend to be in that space of they are sales leaders or marketing leaders, or they're helping rise up those types of teams because that's just the space that I nerd out about. And they're very authentic. One other shout out, Grove Cookie Company, I think is doing a really good job. Grayson, of course, last name is escaping me. They're a fascinating company. Just in 2 seconds, essentially, they started just a couple of years ago. Him and his wife started baking cookies and said, you know what, this would be really cool to work into B2B sales workflows.
I like
so
that.
Instead of like, as a part of your CRM, all right, I'm sending an automated email. I'm going to now go follow up on LinkedIn. They're integrated with a number of CRMs where you can actually have cookies sent to your prospects and you don't have to know their address. It just kicks them an email and then they can privately populate the address they want. And so Grayson over at Grove Cookie Company does a really good job of breaking down how they've been building their model and how they collaboratively partner with people. So there's some variety. There's a lot of people in my newsfeed that I just appreciate and follow, but those are a few.
Love it.
All right. Cool. We'll add that to the. I'm just looking at it. Yeah, that's fascinating. I love that they did that. All right.
Yeah.
Well, that's super cool. All right. Question number 2, Miss Schutrop. Greatest failure to date.
Oh, okay. You got to give me 2 seconds to think. I feel like there's plenty of examples I could pull from. Okay. I will share this one. At a previous company that I worked at, we shifted our business model a few times in the sense of we started out working with companies of a specific size, and then we started working with companies that were larger, and then companies that were larger because the services that we were offering, we felt we could add more value at some of those larger scale companies. And this is something that I've never said out loud before, but it like eats me up inside, and I've had conversations behind the scenes, so I feel a little better about it now. But I think it's really important when you're sunsetting clients to handle it with such poise and grace and good communication. And that's an example where I don't feel that happened. And I think I could have done a better job of being more involved in the conversation. So I would say for me, something that just kind of eats at me is if I ever look back and didn't lean into a courageous conversation, I regret it. Even if it's like a scary one where you're like, hey, we're not going to be a good fit for you anymore. This is why, rather than kind of just doing the canned approach or letting someone else take care of the conversation. So I would say that's something that.
If you haven't read Radical Candor.
Everybody tells me I do need to read it. I
Am
do
I
need
supposed to read it, by the way?
Wait,
am I supposed to read that?
Yeah. Well, just watch the TED Talk. So
Okay.
go to kimscott.com or radicalcandor.com, Kelli, and at the very minimum, watch her 20-minute TED Talk.
I love it.
It will change your life. And she does a really good synopsis of the book. I've read the book a couple times. And what I love about her is she has this whole matrix of obnoxious aggression, manipulative insincerity, and ruinous empathy. And then radical candor is, this cross path of all of these things. And it's about giving feedback in a way that is communicating respect to the other person, right? You can give critical feedback. You can have those uncomfortable conversations out of respect for that other individual. And it's just completely changing the narrative of, you're walking into an uncomfortable conversation or walking in to give feedback that you may not want to give, whether it's to a client or a subordinate or even a partner. Those conversations can be wildly uncomfortable. And I just love the way that she goes about having those conversations and giving that critical feedback. And it all starts with creating a foundation of trust. And so to your point of, this is a client, you're sunsetting services or you're sunsetting the customer, or even if you're exiting a customer at your choice, there's a way to do that gracefully, and, as you indicated, and with great dignity and respect. And so I love her book, but if you don't have time because you've got a newborn, just like Rob does, go watch the 20-minute TED Talk.
I think that's my good starting point. And the reality is, I think the reason why that scenario, when I look back, bothers me so much about how I didn't take ownership over it as much as I could have, is because I approach consultative selling and relationship building and networking with a lot of thoughtfulness, because it matters to me. Like, it feels more authentic to me to do it that way. And having been a marketer for years and then switched into sales, that's just the hat that I always wore. It was never like, all right, I'm going to pound through this list of 500 people and become a commodity and hopefully they reply one day. Like, I like building relationships. I like connecting people. I like helping people. And so I love that concept of radical candor, of providing that same level of just respect and transparency at the end of a relationship, if it's a business dynamic that you're exiting or whatever it might be, the same way that you would in the beginning.
Agreed.
Or throughout the process. So I take that with me going forward.
You'll love her.
All right.
Oh, I'm excited.
Biggest question of the day. Actually, we'll just get to it. We missed one.
Oh, now I'm curious what that one was.
What's the greatest success? That's boring.
Are you asking me, or should we?
No, I want to know your greatest success.
Okay, I'll try to abbreviate it. I know that last answer was relatively.
No, here goes a good answer.
Good context on it. I would say the greatest success that I am proud of is leaning into scary unknown with skill sets that I know that I can develop. So I studied PR and marketing in school. I went into the marketing route, loved it, did a good job at it, and then pivoted into sales, and then pivoted to a company that was selling to global tech brands nationally, and then pivoted to launch my own company. And so just that concept of betting on myself and not being afraid to take the risk. Like, when I look back, and there's plenty of moments that I, like I mentioned just a second ago, where I would have done differently. I don't think I've missed any at-bats. Like, if there was an opportunity ahead of me to experiment, to take on something new, to take on a challenge, I don't know that I can say, I wish I had done that. I just go for it. And I think when you do that and you have enough positive responses from your network around you, it works out well, right? That doesn't mean everything I've attempted has been a win, but I would say that's kind of a macro level. But to bring it to a very specific one, launching Thoughtful Resound, I feel really proud of it. I launched it in September, and I've worked with 11 brands in that time frame, including now sitting in the middle of a 3-month maternity leave. We found out our little one was on the way 2 days after I launched it. And so I knew that I wanted to partner with great companies that were looking to grow sales through the lens of thought leadership and that authentic approach. And yeah, I'm really proud of that.
As you should be. My biggest regret, or my biggest failure just in my career, is that I didn't bet on myself sooner. You know what I mean? And take that risk. So I love that you have that continual theme of betting on yourself and challenging yourself. I think that, I've never loved the saying, get comfortable being uncomfortable, because who wants to be uncomfortable all the time? But I can live, and I'm very I know that I tend to be very pedantic, like, the words matter. But I am very comfortable challenging myself. I don't know. I think that has a better positive spin than being uncomfortable. But
who wants to be uncomfortable?
Who wants to be uncomfortable all the time, right? I liken that to like wearing shoes that are too small, or you know what I mean? So anyway, I
was like watching you build and grow in the middle of a pandemic and just like rocket and get yourself out there. You were one of those examples that I look to. And I know it sounds cheesy, but it's true. To be like, you know what? Lauren took her skill set and moved it into a realm that no one was carving territory out in. And people would absolutely have missed out if she hadn't launched that business. And so for me, it was soul searching and talking to a few mentors about knowing that my next step would look different than the current step that I was in, and having a few people say, have you thought about starting your own thing? Because we could really use your help. We could, and I just kept hearing it. And so it wasn't this pure blind, I think I can do it, I'm going to do it. It was also some coaxing. So the business was not actually my idea. I wasn't pining to start something. It was more, okay, well, now that idea is in my head, that sounds way more exciting than anything else I could network my way into or get recruited for. So I'm going to go for it. And it's been a lot of fun.
Well, I'm glad you did.
Yep. And we'll get into that in a second here and kind of what Thoughtful Resound does. But the most important question is, are you a dog or a cat person?
Dog.
Yay. We don't have to kick her off screen.
Team puppy.
Another one on.
Yes,
right.
I've got a Wolfgang. He is a rescue and a combination of a lot of different things. And he basically just looks like a giant teddy bear with a boxy face because he's got pit bull in him, and he just lays around all day unless someone knocks on the door. Then it sounds like bad things are going to happen, and then he calms down once he meets them.
Intruder. There's like this funny ass meme.
Alert!
Yeah. The dog in like full, like smoking a cigarette, Rambo headband on, like machine gun when the door, and then when you open the door and give him a treat, it's just like this like little cuddly like
My little 2-month-old doesn't even flinch when he barks. I'm like, oh, I guess you got used to this.
I would be very excited if Mackenzie doesn't bark. Layla loves to bark at the mailman. The mailman parks in front of our house, in front of the window that Layla stares out every day. And every day she barks at him twice, when he pulls up and when he gets to the front door of our house. And it is maybe 3 times sometimes if he comes back around. So she is quite ferocious. Anyway, all right. Yes. So Thoughtful Resound. You kind of hinted at what you were coaxed into kind of doing, or kind of like planted the seed in your ear, or the bug in your ear. Working with CEOs, particularly, to help them grow the brand, but in a very specific way. So you want to give us some context?
Yeah. Happy to give context. So essentially, I'm partnering primarily with B2B professional service companies that are trying to grow, which aren't we all, right?
Aren't we all?
But have found that the traditional approach to sales and how they've been approaching marketing in the past is not working anymore the same way that it was before. And so it's not just CEOs. I do typically engage with CEOs, but it's also the key leaders and the salespeople within the organization, and helping reframe it in a way that it's like, okay, yes, we're working on your marketing. So for example, I'm a fractional CMO for a few different clients where we're identifying different ways that they can engage directly with their audience, whether it be by creating their own award, or hosting their own podcast, or hosting fireside chats, or doing things that actually add value to their audience beyond just here's who we are, and here's a blog, and here's a social post. And not that those things are bad. It's just, I see so much value in
the stuff that we do every day.
Yeah, the stuff you guys do every day. Exactly. Like this is a perfect example of it. But there's just so much value in saying, okay, who's my audience? What pain points are they having? How do I make them visible so that they know I understand? And how do I solve them? Or how do other people solve it? Like, how do we make them visible and solvable? And the more people can tell that story, the better. And so what I find is that the companies that I'm working with, whether it's, a larger organization with key leaders and key salespeople, or more of a solopreneur model where they are the face of their own brand, what I typically hear is, well, when we get in a conversation with a prospective client, it's great. But I need more at-bats. I need more people to know that I can have this great conversation, that I understand them. And to me, it's not about leaning into where everybody else is of like, okay, well, now that I have AI, I can blast everybody with the same message 15,000 times a day. And yes, there are authentic ways to use AI in the sales process, obviously. But what worked really well for me at previous organizations, and the two you're seeing here are very, very good at networking and adding value, is essentially unlocking what you've got in your brain and what you've been doing and knowing for years, those insights, and activating them. So the term thought leadership activation is what I talk about. So essentially thoughtful resound. I partner with a few select retainer clients where I engage with them 4 or 8 hours a week as a fractional leader on their team. And then they have typically people that are implementing it. And then I also offer thought leadership workshops and marketing strategy projects. So if we don't have the capacity mutually to work in an ongoing capacity, still helping kind of point everybody in the right direction of who am I? How can I authentically bring my voice forward? And for some people, speaking or hosting a fireside chat is not of interest to them because it freaks them out. It for them, it's more like if I could get in one-on-one conversations with more people, then I light up and then I feel like I shine. And so anyway, there's all sorts of fun ways to do that and connect.
This is a one-on-one conversation with me, you, and Lauren, right?
Yeah.
Really,
there's a lot of ways to de-scary it and to kind of break out the steps of how to get engaged.
De-scary. I love that.
De-scary.
De-scary it. I love it.
So maybe any other key findings that you found as you go through this for the last 9 months, or I guess you're on maternity leave for 2 months, so about 7 or 8 months, right? What have you kind of seen from leaders, and have you seen a case where a leader's made a gigantic shift in their perspective of believing in marketing? Because let's be honest, a lot of people in staffing and recruiting don't believe in marketing.
Correct.
Yeah. Right. Or they've been doing it. Seems like just talking about current events and ideas. That's fair, Curtis. So what I've seen in our industry, and I've, been in and around the staffing industry for about 15 years in that marketing capacity, and then selling digital marketing services to over 150 staffing firms across the country. So most firms check the box when it comes to marketing. We've got all of the basics.
We've got a job board. We post on Indeed.
Yeah.
We have a salary guide.
We're doing all the things. Yep. And now AI is a newish thing that they have to focus on and figure out how to integrate that. And so there's not a lot of just extra, we'll call it brain power or time and capacity to focus on the more creative ways to get in front of their audience. It's still more of the checking the box. And Lauren, like you mentioned, last year and still this year, the industry is not humming the way that it would like to be. It's not, people are not typically seeing we already beat our revenue goal for the whole year, right? People are yes, I need to lean into new business, but everybody else needs to lean into it too. So Rob, to answer your question, one of the things that I'm seeing is people who say, I've always viewed LinkedIn as a place where, other people post. I don't really post, and I don't really know what my voice is. And so I just don't take time to do it. And so there's been a few different key leaders that I've talked to about, okay, well, when you get in those one-on-one conversations with a prospective client or a client you've had for years, and they're seeing aha moments, or you're seeing them have aha moments with things you're sharing, because you see all these different reps of the scenarios that your clients are facing as challenges. And for them, they're facing it too, but you can tell them, here are trends that I'm seeing. This is what other people are doing. People don't realize that they have the ability to be a thought leader if they have time on the trail in whatever the services they're offering. Yeah. So to me, that is a cool thing when people say, interesting, okay, I could write an article, or I could start posting on social, or I could pitch to speak about this topic. And then, I'm seeing people have these moments where they're like, people showed up, people are commenting. I've had people reach out to me to talk more about this. And so that it seems so elementary, but the reality is, if you are selling something, which everybody, in our industry is, that's how your business grows, you need to add value, not just ask for the sale.
Jab, right hook.
Yeah. And I think people underestimate the value of repetition. And I think even I did, I felt like, well, everybody's seen that post, right? Well,
you can post multiple times.
You can post the same thing multiple times and different eyes will get on it. And I think that's something that agencies need to understand, is that A, repetition helps with the algorithm. B, it helps with broadening your audience. It also helps with, with just branding yourself in general. Like people understand we're the build, change, adopt people. That those are our 3 pillars. That's what we do, and that's come from rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat. And I think that is largely undervalued. And now that AI is here, there's a way to rewrite the same content and put it and regurgitate that out multiple times, and again broaden the audience. If you get just one person that didn't see your content before, you then have the opportunity to have their secondary connections get eyes on your content.
Right.
I think people don't understand the infectiousness of LinkedIn and some of the other, even Facebook. We'll do our social selling course and walk agencies through. People want to know who you are and what you stand for.
Yeah.
And people want to know who leaders are and what they stand for. One of the most viral posts I ever had was when I took a picture with no makeup on. Which is so weird.
That's so strange. I can't even imagine. I can't
Rob,
imagine.
when was the last time you took a picture with no makeup?
I know. And then the other post that went viral is a picture of me and my daughter, right? But think about the most meaningful times. Yeah, my little twin. But think about the times you felt most connected to a customer. And I think this happened largely during the pandemic when you were on with the CEO and their naked toddler ran in the background, right? It just humanized them.
It's the human element. And
yes,
it's so true. Well, and the reason why I think it's working so well is because everybody wants to feel like they can put their guard down a bit and be
a human.
Yeah, like they don't have to be so buttoned up. But also, we live in a world where everybody does their own research before they decide if they really want to buy anything. Or like, it's talking to someone at your company, whoever's listening, is more of a vetting process. Like even looking at your website is like, okay, I talked to someone. Let me just go and reaffirm that everything seems the same.
Above board.
Yeah,
so like the vibe is the same.
Right. And even when I was at the previous digital marketing agency, it was this concept of, COVID had just hit. I'm an extrovert, if you can't tell. Conferences weren't happening. I know. Conferences weren't happening. I just came off my first maternity leave with my little guy who's now 4. And I was like, I need community. And I don't know where to find it, so I'm going to make it. And so I started hosting fireside chats. Lauren, you were one of the very first ones I hosted where I'm like, you know what? I've got this vision of I'm talking to someone who I know has passion and expertise. And if we're sitting at a high top together at a conference and a few people wander by and go, hi, I don't know you guys, or maybe I know one of you. Could I just sit and hear what you're sharing? Because I'm really curious in this topic. That was my intent, was just to start doing that. But it created this ripple effect of me meeting so many more people and others benefiting from each other and people getting connected. And of that 150 clients that I partnered with over the course of a few years, over 95% of them found me because they were seeing content that I was producing. And so that's the kind of that sweet space of like, give back to your audience the information that they're already trying to find. And there are plenty of people posting and out there, but there's way more that are not. So people start to see you and recognize you and want to connect with you.
Yeah. Of the 4, I've never spent a dime on marketing other than conferences. And I've never spent a single dollar on traditional marketing. And most all of my clients have come through word of mouth referral, or they found me on LinkedIn or listened to the podcast, or, because we've got all these different mediums with which we, whether it's a live or you've listened to a past episode, or I've done a fireside chat, or you saw me do a keynote or what have you. There's such power in being able to engage with people in less traditional ways. And, that's why I'm so passionate about social relationship building. I'm not in love with the term social selling because
I like the relationship building concept better too.
Yeah, because I'm like Casey J. Cox, like he's win the relationship, not the deal.
Yep.
And so I very much want to have a meaningful relationship. I want my clients to be my friends.
Right.
and because I just think it's a better partnership, and there's more understanding, more grace, more all of the goodness of
One,
the
it helps you get
relationship.
into a conversation where you don't feel like you are just giving a pitch. It's more
Right.
they came to you to try to find out more, and you're happy to share more. And if they leave the conversation better off than when they came in, that's the point. That's great.
There they are.
It's
The team, little dog team. Sorry.
So cute. I was going to mention there's a phrase in newborn land that Rob has probably heard called sleep begets sleep. Like the more sleep you have, the more sleep you will experience as a little tiny human. And I feel like it's exposure begets exposure. And Lauren, I know, has seen this too, right? Where it's just the concept of you start sharing this insight that you can share with the world, and then someone else sees it and wants you to speak, and then someone else sees it and reaches out to you. And it tends to happen that way. Like I'm speaking later this month at the Colorado Staffing Association, and 2 people saw me post about it and reached out and said, let's have a conversation. And they're not in and associated with that at all. But because I shared insights that I'm going to be sharing about, they said, I would like to hear about that too. So the more that I can help others figure out what their message is and where they shine and where they can help their prospective clients and where that shows up, like that's what gets me excited.
Yeah. And I think that's the hardest part. I mean, much like writing about yourself, composing a resume for myself was really hard. Mm-hmm. Writing about accomplishments, those types of things is really hard. So if they can have a coach that helps them really articulate what they're passionate about, what they're good at, I think that's the hardest part. So I admire what you're doing, because
it's the part that I nerd out and I just love. I love it.
Yes, but you absolutely need a coach to do that. I mean, I paid for a coach to help me. Heather Monahan was an amazing coach for me, confidence creator. I had zero confidence walking into it, and she really helped me articulate, what I was good at, what I was passionate about. And, it makes all the difference in the world when you're coming in to be a thought leader about something. You have to feel good about, the message that you're going to share and how you want, what your emotional wake is going to be. I love that term. What type of emotional wake, what ripple effect do you want to leave with people?
Yeah.
Right. And for me, I want people to leave, more educated. I want them to feel more confident about, their technology. I want them to feel good about, how they're building their firm, leveraging technology. And a lot of people feel insecure and, all of those things. So if you can get clear on that, it makes thought leadership natural.
Right. And it doesn't need to take all your time, because nobody has extra time to give. Right. So that's where having needed to build out sales models before and do the things that I have the ideas for myself, I have a really big appreciation for what is the low hanging fruit, what's actually going to create impact, what isn't going to cost an arm and a leg in order to implement it, so you can't ever implement it. Right. Like it's what can be done now as micro steps that you can add to your plate that are just going to create better results for you and ultimately just get you in more conversations that you want to get in.
Right.
Yeah. All right. Well, we should wrap this up. So Kelli, this has been fantastic.
So good to see you. Congratulations.
Thank you.
And Lauren, it seems like you have company, so we'll let you get back to the race life. Thank you for joining.
Yes. Thank you, Kelli.